I asked Candace to come out here just for her signature. All right, all right, all right. We've had a minute to take a break here, and after doing 9 or 10 months on the road, we decided that we need to get better organized in our storage. These fifth wheels have huge pass-through storage compartments and front storage compartments, especially if you're like us with no generator on our front storage compartment, so there's tons of space. The problem that we've had is that while there's tons of space, you always have to unpack stuff in order to get to what you want. So I took on the project this weekend of adding some shelves and getting a little bit more organized with our space so that we can not necessarily add more stuff, but we can get our stuff easily without having to fight with moving stuff and getting stuff out and unpacking and taking 10 things out to get the one thing we really want. So that's what we did this weekend, is we added some shelves and raised up the slide outs a little bit that we already had so that we can fit stuff underneath them a little bit better. And yeah, what do you think?
It looks like you did a good job.
Candace doesn't really do much with the outside storage. She always asks me to get it, so she's not really impacted by it.
But when I do go, I'm like,
yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and Candace is going to go back to work. I'm going to go ahead and take some after shots of our completed storage project and let you see what it's like. And if you'd like to see some of the progress along the way, stay tuned, and I am going to have the actual progress of framing it out and adding the shelves after we show the final results.
Yep, I think that's it.
So here's the passenger side of our storage compartment. This is actually a full slide through. This is the widest portion of it, and you can see we got the cargo slide down there underneath the laundry bin. And then we've got shelves on top of it that we built. You can see kind of some of the framing we did over there. If you stay tuned later on, you'll be able to see how that was put in. And the really nice thing about these cargo slides is I can slide them out. This one bin gets pushed over, so we just tuck that, slide them out, and now we've got access to everything here. Now, before, what we did was we stacked stuff multiple levels, and then you had problems getting it out of the door, or you had to take it off these bins and unpack before you could actually get to it. Now we can get to all this stuff, and with the slides in, you can see that we have all that room up there for little stuff that we don't use very often or that we don't need to gain access to and slide out. So that's the whole purpose of this. And then if we can try to get to it, you'll see that these slides sit a few inches off the floor, so we can fit stuff like our emergency backup cooking grill there, and there's some stuff on the other side I'll show you when we get over there. So it allows us to really organize our storage much better and get access to it. If we go over here to the front, this is a really big storage compartment. Try to back up a little bit. It's a big storage compartment, but all we were able to do was stack stuff in there, and it was really inconvenient to get anything out because you always had to unpack stuff. So I put 2 levels of shelving here, and I kind of decided at the last minute that I wanted to make this shelf a little bit further out. So I added another piece of plywood with a piano hinge so that can allow me to get to the stuff underneath it a little bit easier. Basically, all we're sticking down there are some tarps and our little camp chairs and whatnot. So easy access gives us a little bit more storage. You can see that we've got our compressor hidden up there so that if we need air, we can get access to our air. And then back here, we've got our inverter and our electrical setup. I may regret putting these shelves in here next time I have to get in there, but for now it's good. We'll have to see. And then if we go over here to the driver's side, you'll see that this one is significantly smaller as far as how wide that slide entrance is. This is where we keep our sewer and our water and some other stuff. And I got the shelf up here that we really aren't really using much space up there. You can see that we just got a laundry rack and a diving bag and some broom and crap, so we could actually fit quite a bit up there. And then this slide comes out, and you'll see underneath there, went ahead and put all of our torque wrenches, tie down straps, electrical stuff. This stuff, if you've been in an RV for a while, this stuff just tends to get in the way or cluttered up, or oftentimes lost. You can also see that I took all my tie down straps that I'm not currently using, and I use a wire tie to tie them up so that they don't end up into the tangled mess that they were. So this should make it a little bit easier to gain access to our stuff and to put stuff away and stay organized and not be frustrated. You can see here where the framing is, right there. I went ahead and actually screwed that into the piece of plywood behind there. That's Luan, but there's actually a piece of plywood behind there. And then you can see kind of where I tied the framing in here as well. If you watch the whole video, you'll see a little bit of how I did it, a little bit of what I did to get it to work. Or if you're done and you've seen enough to get your own ideas, thank you for watching.
Alrighty, we're going to upgrade our storage situation. As you can see there, we do have slides, the metal slides, but what often happens is that in the process, especially when we're sitting still for a long time, what will happen is that we get stuff out and put stuff back in and we don't get it quite organized, and then you can't use the slide anymore. So either you stay right on top of putting everything back every time you use it, or you have to figure out another solution. What I'm going to do is pull the slides out, make a little bit of change to the way they're installed, and then I'm going to put a shelf above it so that when we unpack stuff and when we need to move stuff around, it's less hassle and a little bit more organized. This is what it looks like when the slide comes out, and it's super convenient, makes life easy. But as I said before, you kind of got to deal with everything that's stacked when you want something on the bottom, so I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to put an upper shelf in there so that the stuff we use rarely can go on top, and then stuff we use often can be on the slide and come out. Alrighty, this is what it looks like without any slides in there. As you may notice, cargo slides actually take up a bit of room. You can see over there how far they sit up off the floor, and that one particularly is very unuseful because you can't really slide anything underneath there. And you can see a gouge in the linoleum where it was gouged up, and I don't really care about that, so not worrying about that right now. But we're going to go ahead and raise those cargo slides, and then we're going to do a shelf. What I have seen already is I need longer bolts so I can actually fit back into these holes properly. I was thinking that I was going to be able to extend it with some 2x4 and plywood. Didn't realize that I would need some longer bolts. So there will be another trip to the hardware store in a little bit. We have our installed shelf. I had to make a couple design changes. I had planned on having it straight on the floor, but I braced it up because, as you can see over here, we have this access panel to the underneath. So that didn't work for us. We're in the way of that. So really most of the strength is coming from the upright supports on the side, and the fact that they're vertical and they're not going to move. That Luan plywood right there has frame behind it, and I'm actually screwed into that frame. And then you see up here we've got our plywood shelf, which I reinforced a little bit to make sure that it'll hold the stuff we're putting up there. We're not putting a terribly huge amount of weight up there. Yeah, that's where we're at so far. And I almost forgot. Yes, I did patch the hole, or the rip. That's Coroplast patching material, so it should hold pretty well. So we did take care of that as well. And there you have it with the lights on. Much better. I'll do some trimming of all those cable ties and like over here. Looks like the finished product. I do have a back piece of that shelf that I haven't put on yet. I'm undecided. If I get the other shelf lined up and I like the way it lines up, I'll leave it off so it can be kind of a full pass-through storage, but we'll see how it goes. So shelf number 1 done and down. Off the shelf number 2. So we ran into a little trouble here. You see how close the slide out holes are to where this was. When I put my framing in here, it didn't quite fit. Couldn't get the slide of it in there. So I'm taking this out, which is nothing more than a support for the wet bay. And I'm going to change my framing up a little bit. And you'll see how I went ahead and doubled that up. And if I put it in there, just like that. So basically the idea is that it's going to replace that aluminum, which is just there for the wet bay, and hold up my shelf and be just out of the way of the slide. So that's the idea. We'll see how it actually works out. So there we have the frame in place, and you can see we've got a little bit of space over there for taller items if we'd like to put them over there. And now it's time to test fit the slide out trays so that we can actually make sure that this comes out. and works okay. And then we put the shelf on and put the slide out trays back in.
Alrighty, so here is what it looks like with the shelf installed. Now you get the slide out and the shelf, and you can see there, you've got enough room to get small stuff like power cords and whatnot underneath the slide out now. Here we go. You've got a fair amount of room there. Not as much as the other side, but still a fair amount of room. But way better than it was. And it's pretty sturdy. It's not going anywhere. So that's the second slide out storage solution we did. And yeah, I'll show you what the other one looks like here in a minute when it's loaded. This is the first one that we did, and you see the slide out tray with just enough room to get your stuff in and out of there without any issue, and it slides all the way out. And then the top shelf gives us nice divided storage so we can actually find our stuff easily. One thing I did do that you'll notice is that I recessed the shelf. The reason why the shelf is recessed is to make it easier to get stuff up onto it and also get stuff out, and gives you room for stuff that's a little bit taller, like you see that spray bottle there. But really the biggest reason I did it is because if you bring the shelf all the way to the door, it makes it really hard to get stuff in and out of the door. So as you can see, there's a huge storage area here in the front underneath here, where if you had a generator would go here, but we don't. And you can see here you've got lots of storage, but you have to stack. So we're going to put some shelves in here as well. Excuse all the noise. There's jets flying and music on, but there's my framed in shelf. I think I'm going to leave it there. I was thinking about doing 2 levels, but I think it'll take up too much room and disallow me from doing actually large items in here. So I kind of framed it in over there. You gotta be careful there because you're on the outer skin of the RV, so be careful not to put any screws through there. I attached it to that back wall there, tied it in pretty well, and then down here I tied in my inverter stand, and I put a bolt through the actual floor of the storage area so that won't move, because I don't want to get knocked out and have the shelf collapse. So I think that should be fairly secure. We'll have to wait until we drive to see it, but now I'm going to see how stuff stacks in here, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to do another shelf or leave it as is.